Kinyamal coming wide on the outside. What a move from the Kenyan.
Kenyan athletes are considered among the country's top exports across the world, shining in field and track, rugby, volleyball, boxing, and even the emerging sports like kabaddi and roller skating.
It was decisive.
But even with a chest full of medals, the Ministry of Sports is struggling with its public image. The immediate former cabinet secretary faces corruption charges over his handling of Kenya's participation in the last Olympic Games in Brazil. The ministry is left in a crisis of perception amid public criticism over how sportsmen and women are funded. The latest PR nightmare was this photograph that went viral on social media just a few days ago. It shows the amputee football team sleeping on the floor in the ministry boardroom. The team was allegedly protesting the non-payment of allowances for their latest tournament in Mexico. We wanted to find out what really happened, and our first stop was at the Principal Secretary's office to set the record straight.
They came to us and said their international federation is catering for everything but tickets. They said the only thing they didn't have are tickets. So we asked how much it will cost. It costs over 7 million shillings. So we went ahead, looked for areas that we could cut budget, places we could reduce consumption, and raised the money and got them the tickets.
The ministry's accusing finger points at the managers of the amputee team, whom they claim had already received funding elsewhere for allowances and were trying to dupe the ministry into double funding them. But the team could not respond to these claims as their manager failed to show up for our scheduled interviews 3 times, despite having confirmed with us.
They were dishonest. They tried to utilize the opportunity to force people to take a certain perception.
But the ministry is not entirely off the hook. A narrative has been circulating within the sporting world concerning an apparent lack of funds to sponsor teams to major sports events.
For all intents and purposes, we are going for a World Cup qualification, and we believe that this is something that the government should be able to come in and fund the team to go the repechage. But we have heard very many false promises from government. We haven't had this money in.
While we are informed that the sports fund has made progress, there is still not money coming into the sports fund yet.
The National Sports Fund, set up under the Sports Act of 2013, was meant to deduct a tax from betting companies and redirect them into funding athletes to participate in competitions. But senior officials at sports federations fear that Treasury may have taken control of the funds and could divert them elsewhere.
Some federations got together and we were briefed and told that there is actually about 2 billion shillings sitting in a fund. But that money has not been transferred to the sports fund.
My hearing is that they even are trying to restructure it. There are discussions of moving the sports fund to the Treasury, because I think there's a lot of money.
Nothing would be further from the truth. That is completely 100% untrue. I want to say that the fund is squarely managed here. The Treasury is by law the manager of Public Finance Management Act. They are the custodians of that. We are waiting for this answer from KRA, because remember, this had to kick in from the beginning of this year.
The national kabaddi team is training for World Cup qualifiers. They are yet to receive funding from the ministry. But unlike other teams, they say they are not worried.
You need to submit your budget in good time. Like we have submitted now our budget until 2022. So the ministry has to go and check if this tournament kabaddi has said, is it a world championship? Is it a tournament that is going to benefit Kenyans? It's a new rule. We are being told this is how things that you need to submit before you get registered. Some of us think it's difficult for us. We want to look for another way to get registered. Some of us think, you know, so it's also human perspective of doing some things to try to understand, work with the, like maybe laws we are transforming.
And you know, wheelchair racing, para boxing, adopted skiing, swimming, adopted, table tennis, tennis, and rowing. 14 different categories. And you know what? We have supported all those this year.
One team that's not on the PS's list is the roller skating team. The team had to secure flight tickets on credit to make it for the African Championships in Egypt earlier this month.
We weren't registered for the event. We needed to look for money to pay for that event. Practically speaking, Asha, I borrowed money even from my wife. Bring what there is, change that into dollars and give it to me. This team has to go to the African Championships. We shared rooms. We basically shared beds. Are you getting me? By the close of our competitions, our team had 20 gold medals, 11 silver medals, and 9 bronze medals.
Let us have a situation where, from the beginning of the financial year, all those to be supported know they will be supported. And all those that will be supported know how much they will be given, so that they have time to also seek alternative funding.
We wrote our proposal to the ministry in good time. And of course, in September, we were told, sorry, we will not be able to finance because of priority. We are putting priority to developing our skating facility to enhance skating.
The ministry does not have a responsibility up to now to those kind of costs, because you take it for this, extrapolate that to 70 federations.
20 federations are confirmed as having fully complied with the requirements stated under the Sports Act. 50 more are currently in the process of securing compliance. All these federations are heavily dependent on the Ministry of Sports through the Sports Fund to resolve their financial concerns. As yet, it is still unclear when this fund will be fully active to dispense money to cash-strapped federations upon request. The ministry is under even more pressure to set up an elaborate and sustainable funding plan.
Commonwealth Games champion over the 800.
Asha Mwilu for Special Assignment in Nairobi.